Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. It's been a little bit, and like I say, when I'm a report on something or start on something, that means it's important news is getting ready to go on. So we got the season is upon us, uh, and for the next couple of days, I'm gonna go ahead and run down my prediction who I think going to win these different divisions and whatnot, and talk about some of the teams, some in depth, some not so much in depth because ain't gonna have a lot to say about some of those teams, but definitely dealing with the East, NFC East. Uh, you know, we all know, you got the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Redskins over in that particular division. I got the Eagles actually winning the East. People probably say, "Oh man, you ain't picking your Cowboys." I'm like, I'm just being realistic with everything. Those guys are strong on both sides of the ball. I said last year. They were the best team. They were the best team, best rounded team. Period. I still say the team who's going to win the Super Bowl will be coming out of the NFC again. I just think that the NFC is built down, and I kind of think a lot of it has come with the and I'm saying starting with Ezekiel Elliott is a reinsurgence of running the football, and I think and they have, and like I said, and even with the Eagles and what they have on their would help them last year with Jay Ajayi, that acquisition he got coming from out of Miami, and you also had I can't remember my man's name that played with the New England Patriots. His name will come to me a little bit later. I'll bring it up later on and whatnot. Uh, the line is strong. They have a nice running game. They got some decent. They got some pretty good receivers over there and everything. You got one of the better tight ends playing for them. I think it's Zach Ertz, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, you have some. They have some weapons there. They definitely have some weapons. That Dan Sproles will be coming back. I guess he probably be coming. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do, but they still got pretty much everybody intact over there at that team. You got Fletcher Cox over there on defense. You got the guy what's my man I can't think of. Chris Long is still there. Brandon Graham. You got Brandon Graham there. You have the young guy, the young guy Derek Barnett from out of Tennessee. So you got some guys there. Their defense is stout. That's what makes that team go, in my opinion. The jury's still out for me as far as anything that goes on talking about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had a hell of a year. We would have been MVP. I'm not taking nothing from him. I just, like I said, he reminds me of Jim Everett, and I'm gonna just leave it at that for right now. All right. I don't know. Nick Foles did not play that good this preseason, so we're going to see actually what happens with Nick Foles. I was saying, Nick Foles, he caught lightning. I mean, he did his thing a couple of years ago with Philly. Nick Foles is who I think Nick Foles is. We'll see what happens with him. He might turn into be everything will be fine, but I'm just thinking Nick Foles is that guy that he's not consistent. He's not consistent. I would think he would have been a little sharper and whatnot. But I feel like be a little bit sharper coming into this season, pretty much knowing that he's going to be the starting quarterback coming in because they haven't released anything as far as on Carson Wentz from being released from doctor's care at this particular point. So he's going to have to be your QB. And Nick Foles can play, but the consistency of Nick Foles is what bothers me. What bothers me with Nick Foles, which is why he is not really a starting quarterback really anywhere else. That's why he's just about out of the game. So he's a backup. I mean, I don't know. He has to string together something along the lines of I expected more out of him for obviously for this preseason. Definitely expected more up out of him. And LeGarrette Blunt, tell you what it comes to. Blunt, who they left, who part of intricate running game with Jay Ajayi. So we'll see what happens to some of the people. One of Smallwood. See what happens with some of them guys like that. They're going to be able to possibly help out. Like I said, the receivers, Alshon Jefferson. They got Mike Wallace. So we'll see. I mean, they're still strong, and I'm picking them. I don't want to. I give them 12-4 possibly. 12-4. I give them 12-4. My next pick, Dallas Cowboys. That's my team. Dak Prescott made the comment, so I think you can win in this league and don't have to have number ones. Yeah, you can pull that off if you're Tom Brady. But everybody needs a number one receiver. Your number one receiver, your number two receiver. You need a number one. And Dallas, of course, released Dez Bryant. And I'd already said last year, so whatever, this was a make a break year for Dez and whatnot. And we see it got broken and they let him go and everything like that. Still hasn't signed with a team. Me personally, he should have just stayed, took a pay cut. Yeah, you live in Dallas. It ain't like you living up here in the DMV area where everything is crazy high. You know, I'm sure some high spots up in Dallas, but I'm not sure the guy could afford it. He could have stayed there, but that's water under the bridge. You lost your eventual Hall of Fame tight end, Jason Witten and whatnot. So, but the good thing about it is that the reason why, and I'm picking Dallas probably going around, I want to say 11-5. 10-6 might be a little, I think that, because Dallas has Ezekiel Elliott, who has something to prove this year after that ridiculousness last year of instead of just basically taking 4 games, he end up doing 6. And that was basically for a lesson that he had to learn. And they did it at the time when you was getting ready to make your playoff run. And they could have used him in those games. And they probably could have won 11 games last year. He's going to come back with a vengeance. The strength of the Dallas Cowboys team is the offense, is that offensive line and whatnot. And it's taking some hits. All of a sudden, Travis Frederick, he has this particular disease that deals with the nervous system, I believe. Some people say he can get back and stuff like that. He had these pulses or twits or whatever it was, spasms or whatever. Just thought it was that, but it was this particular disease that he had and everything, which you hope he gets better and stuff like that. One of the best centers in the game. And then a little scared with Zach Martin. Tyron Smith is still trying to recovering. He's trying to recover. We got La'el Collins and whatnot on the line, and you got Joe Looney Tunes out of Wake Forest. He'd be playing center, stepping in for Mr. Frederick. Zach Martin can move in and play that position in the center if need be or something like that. But that's their strength, is their offense. And I've already been saying for over a decade now, Dallas, I mean, even when they had DeMarcus, when Ware was there, Dallas needs their defense might actually be good this year, and that's what they need. That's exactly what they need. They need to have that. They need to have defense. They need to have these guys. You got this guy Leighton Vander Esch from out of Boise State, big kid, 6'4", 255. He was all over field when he was over there playing with Boise. I peeped him out. Looks good. We'll see what happens. You got between Vander Esch, you got Sean Lee, and you got Jalen Smith. This is the year I want to see what Jalen Smith saw what he did at Notre Dame. He tried to make a little comeback and stuff like that. He wasn't still all the way back up the point as he said. He said this is the first time he actually felt really good. You got, and their linebackers, their linebackers, I mean, they need to do something secondary. I kind of still hope that they get an opportunity to pick up Earl Thomas. They need veteran leadership. They don't really have that. These guys don't really have that. Sean Lee is not one of them rah-rah guys. He stays healthy, everything will be fine. If Randy Gregory stays away from the damn weed and everything and stuff like that, the kid will be fine. The kid was something in Nebraska. Even Charles Haley checked off on this guy, and this guy just won't play the game because he won't like to smoke weed. I want to see what Taco Charlton's going to do this year. I need to see what DeMarcus Lawrence coming off a nice year, got paid. We're going to see if the money ain't changed him. David Irvin, four-game suspension, substance abuse policy in the NFL thing. I have no idea what it was. He was having a nice year, had like 7 sacks at defensive tackle. He can play. Dallas got to always have some type of drama that goes on with them every year, which is just tiresome. But they should be fine. But they're gonna have to find somebody to, so they should be fine to get some questions answered in that secondary. We need leadership on that secondary and whatnot. Terrence Williams is probably going to be the #1 receiver. I don't know what happened because they had to find him drunk in the street a while back. I don't know what was going on with that situation, but we'll see. But you're going to need a #1 or somebody's got to step up and basically do what needs to be do what needs to be done. I guess Cole Beasley still has a safety net and whatnot, so we'll see what happens. Got Tavon Austin. Yeah, we'll see. Moving on to I think the Giants will probably be third. I don't know, man. 9-7, 7-9. It's hard to say. These things come up when you talk about Eli Manning a lot of times. is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? If Eli Manning wins another Super Bowl, you got to put him in there just for the fact that he won 3 Super Bowls. You have to. Just disrespect. He's not a great. I mean, Eli Manning. He's played long enough to put up some numbers, and he plays in the area where they throw the ball a lot, so the numbers are going to show that and everything with him. He's been steady. He's a good quarterback. I'll never really say he was a great quarterback, but then again, at the same time, I don't know how. I mean, even a lot of quarterbacks, in my opinion, might be in the Hall of Fame that wasn't great quarterbacks. They just so happened to be on the team that won Super Bowls, and they managed to do what they needed to do to win. And that's kind of what Eli Manning is, but he's the star that stirs the drink. I mean, it's always with that defense that defense got that team there. The defense and and solid play from their quarterback. Because when it's a big game, he plays good. I think he just that motivates him more. I think if Eli could just play playoff games, I just think he would be probably one of the better ones that ever played the game. But I think that just when he gets into it more. That's just my take on it. They got Saquon Barkley. We'll see what happens with him. Again, I said this before. Not that much sold on Penn State running backs coming out of Penn State going into pros. Last one, Kurt Warner. And I'm going to leave it at that. You got Larry Gilbert. I already did a piece on that, talking about Larry Johnson. That was a 2-year run. The best one that lasted for a long period of time. You got to go back to Franco Harris, Lydell Mitchell. Hell, even going back to Lenny Moore. So, that's going back. I mean, their backs just don't really do that for me. But we'll see. Like I said, makes no never mind to me whether he does it. The kid looks good. He's like he can be the truth. But we'll see what happens and whatnot. Odell Beckham just got all the money in the world. I've already done a piece on that about him. Go look up John Jefferson. Look up the stats. Similar, same, all of that kind of stuff. Everything, for the most part with them. Will the money... all money is not always good money, so I want to see what Odell Beckham is going to do because he didn't do anything last year, right? And he didn't do anything in the play, so he still has things from that. After that, they beat Washington in the game, getting ready to go to the playoffs, wild card game against Green Bay. Then, of course, they go to the yacht. They go out yachting and doing what all the other kind of mess they went to go do over there and all that. Then he alligator arms, dropping balls and all that kind of stuff. To screaming about money, to being up in some room with some girl with his white powder around, and he's high eating pizza somewhere up in France, wherever the guy was at. But who cares? It's kids, they do that. But the spotlight going for sure be on them now. We'll see what happens with them. I don't really see a lot going on with them because it's a new coaching staff, new philosophy, new everything. So we're going to see what happens there. Like I said, if you just check out New York, and it's always been one of the mainstays with that team. They never was always the greatest offense. They always put some things together. A nice running game and a defense. So if they go by that, they can be all right. But I still say it's rebuilding. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, we don't know. Maybe 7-9, possibly. They might could go 9. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But I'm not going to throw 7. I think maybe 7-9. Now we're gonna go to the Redskins team that I loathe, as everybody knows that. But they finally they got Alex Smith. Some people say he's a carbon copy of Cousins, or Cousins is like him or whatever like that. I always thought Alex Smith got a raw deal. It just happens that way. He did some good things over there his last few years with San Francisco. See what happened there, and then the last thing that happened over there with Kansas City. I mean, it's just like wasn't his fault. People try. I said you can't put that on him. I still put that stuff on Andy Reid, putting the quarterback in a better situation and whatnot. And like I say, he had a very good year. Yeah, but I could imagine Alex Smith probably saying, "Man, these black quarterbacks just uproot me wherever I'm at. I'm over there," and then Colin Kaepernick gets him, and then he gets over Kansas City, and Pat Mahomes unseats him over there. So we'll see what happens. It's just a little inside joke there, but I'm just saying he can play. He's a steady quarterback. He's not going to make a bunch of mistakes. He's checked down out. It's already, and he's athletic. He still has some of that with him, and he's been in the league for 14 years. And I think he can play and whatnot. I just don't know what you can't. You don't know what you're going to get from Jordan from Jordan Reed. Vernon Davis is getting on. Jordan Reed could be one of the best tight ends in the game if the kid could ever stay healthy. Running back, they went out and got an agent, Adrian Peterson. Samaje Perine, who I like, is a kid from out of Texas and whatnot, went to Oklahoma. Ironically enough, they have 2 Oklahoma backs there, and he actually, and he was hurt in Oklahoma, and now he's hurt last year, and he got hurt again. Darius Geis, who looked like he was going to be something, I think he's out for the year, rookie. He's out still on the roster and everything like that. We'll see what happens with them. They still got big man Trent Williams on the line and stuff. One of the best have done it. They do look nice. So we'll see what happens with their offense. But they got to have a running game. Peterson maybe, but when you're a running back and you start trying to look for where you're going to go and stuff, and you're bouncing from team to team, the tread on that tire is about gone. But we'll see. He might have another because he's a freakish athlete, and we'll see what happens with him. Their defense, I actually enjoy watching. I'm a football guy. You know, I'm not a Skins fan, but I like to watch good football. Kerrigan has always been nice. Always been very good. And you know, and we'll see what happens. You know, see with them. I like the kid, that cat, DJ Swearinger. I thought he was the vocal point in that defense. He had him like hidden. You got Josh Norman there, right? You got Josh Norman there. You got, I think, the kid, the kid. You got this kid, Sean Dion Hamilton from Alabama. You got what's the other guy? You got another guy from Alabama, second, Ryan Anderson. You got what's the other young, Jonathan Allen? He's a local kid from right down the street from where I'm living at and everything. Jonathan Allen, who got hurt last year. They should be stout on defense. They should be stout. They had a little nastiness with them, but when your offense is inept to an extent, you can move the ball but can't get it in the end zone. All the yards don't mean nothing, and that's what I was talking about. You know, the whole thing about with Kirk Cousins. And like I said, I don't know, man. Maybe 6-10 with them. Maybe. And like I said, maybe because they're not stable in their running game. And as far as their wide receivers is concerned, I mean, you got Josh Doxson. We're going to see. He's from out of TCU. Harold, the kid, remember him at TCU? This has got to be the year. He got to become a star this year. For them to be successful and to even think about the playoffs, or even get a better record than what I'm predicting, he has to come to play. He has to come to play. They have to have a running game, and Reed has got to represent. And they got them big nags. Their defense is going to be the one that's going to have to carry them until they get everything in order. So that's my take on them. I pretty much, you know, I got Philly winning just because, you know, Philly was played the underdog role the whole time, and you know, and I know they got a boat on the back, got a wide target on their back, but they haven't lost anything. And we'll see what happens. The only flip up with them is just like, you know, they have a good quarterback problem. I mean, when Carson Wentz is ready to come back, he'll be ready to go. It's going to be his team. Period. I mean, you know, Nick Foles only done what you're supposed to do when you're a backup. That's what a backup is supposed to do. That's why you're second string. If the first one go down, you're supposed to be able to do you're supposed to be able to perform. You're an NFL quarterback, so you're supposed to perform. So I'm like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? If he was a third string or if he was a practice squad, that should be a big story. It's not a big story for somebody who has actually performed at a high level but then fell off. So that's why that quarterback situation, we're going to see what happens with him. You know, we're going to definitely see. All right, that's my prediction for the NFC East, man. You know, NFC East. I'll come back with the. I'll probably do NFC South tomorrow. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks.